This meeting of the Springfield City Council will now be called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Perez. Councilor Perez. Councilor Perez.
Present.
Present. Councilor Click Bruce.
Present.
Present. Councilor Curran.
Present.
Present. Councilor Walsh.
Present.
Present. Councilor Brown.
Present.
Present. Councilor Davila. Absent. Councilor Hurst.
Present.
Present. Councilor Edwards.
Present.
Present. Councilor Allen.
Present.
Present. Councilor Govan. Absent. Councilor Fenton.
Not present.
Present. Councilor Fenton.
Present.
Present. Councilor Whitfield. Absent. Councilor Letterman.
Present. Will the council and guests please rise and join us in a moment of silence? Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Members and guests may be seated. Madam Clerk, please recognize Councilor Davila.
Councilor Davila.
Present.
Present. Councilor Whitfield.
Present.
Present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Before we get started, a couple of announcements. First and foremost, for members and guests, the Health Commissioner, Helen Calton-Harris, has issued a strong recommendation that members and guests wear masks in the chamber when they are not speaking. So we do respectfully ask that folks consider that. There are masks available at the door if you do not have a mask. Also, for counselors, a reminder that we ask that you rise to be recognized, but deliver your remarks from a seated position, and that your microphones, unless you hold your hand over the mute button, are live and broadcasting. So they are live and broadcasting by default. Please make sure you speak directly into the microphone so that both individuals in the chamber and at home can hear you. You will notice a slight change in the hybrid format this evening. This screen will reflect what the public is seeing at home. And so if you are speaking, especially if you are a counselor who is unfortunately seated with your back to the audience will be able to see you on that screen. And we hope that that will help with a couple of things. Two final announcements. One is that tomorrow at 5:30 p.m., I'll be holding a press conference here in Chambers to announce appointments to the Working Group on Civic Engagement, and all counselors are invited to join us for that announcement. And finally, let the record reflect that Councilors Walsh, Councilor Brown, Councilor Hurst, Councilor Govan, and Councilor Whitfield are participating in the proceedings remotely. With all that said, Madam Clerk, first, are there any reports of committee? Councilor Walsh.
I just wanted to let you know that the Springfield Women's Commission has been holding a series of meetings prior to our flag raising this Friday, October 7th at 11 a.m. at City Hall. The Springfield Women's Commission recognized domestic violence as a top priority for the commission, and we will be holding a flag raising, and all of you should have received an invitation to join us, recognizing October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So we hope to see you all on Friday.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Govan.
Thank you so much. The City Council, and I want to thank all the councilors for signing on to the proclamation to make October 5th Energy Efficiency Day and month. We are going to be working together with Mayor Sarno to have a press conference on Wednesday at 11:30 hopefully I can see as many of you there as possible, as well as the public. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Are there any other reports of committee? Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening. Mr. President, the Public Safety Committee met today with the in the Public Safety Committee. Present was Commissioner Fernandez, Solicitor Payne, Deputy Rupert, Councilor Govan, Councilor Fenton, Councilor Whitfield, myself, Chairman Victor Davila, and the newly hired Attorney Murphy. The purpose of the discussion, sir, was to continue our monthly meetings. In this meeting, sir, we talked about the complaint process. We, unfortunately, I'm sad to say, sir, that the complaint process is not fully clear yet. It will appear that the complaint process it's making its way to the Police Commission last. We find that extremely concerning from what I gather from the other councilors. Also, we talked about the policies and procedures, Mr. President. It was stated today that basically after almost roughly 7-8 months of existence, they do not have a policy and procedures of yet. At the behest and the strong encouragement of Councilor Fenton, Solicitor Payne said that there will be policies and procedures developed. Hopefully, they will be instituted by the beginning of next year. Also, sir, something that we found out today that I personally find extremely concerning is that the commissioners were asked to sign a memorandum of understanding, basically giving up the power to hire. That came to light today. I personally find that extremely understanding. It is obvious that there's disagreement on that particular contention, a particular point. I will be scheduling in the next meeting in the next 3 or 4 weeks. And it is my hope, sir, that unfortunately today only one police commissioner showed up. I do have an expectation, sir, that they do show up for the next meeting. We have a meeting here on October 5th, but the nuts and bolts of this needs to be done. And so those are my report, and please stay tuned. There's more coming. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. President. The General Government Committee met this past Thursday, the 29th. Councilors in attendance were myself, Councilors Allen, yourself, Mr. President, Councilor Perez, Councilor Hurst, and Councilor Click Bruce. The 3 items that we discussed on the agenda at that meeting and which appear on your agendas this evening are Councilor Letterman's proposal for the posting and filling of vacancies on municipal boards and commissions. And it was after the discussion in that committee, my recommendation that we come back to the full council with an affirmative recommendation for that. And I understand the president has a few updates for us on that tonight. The second item that we discussed was a change to the ordinance that controls the fee structure for permitting of dumpsters as proposed by the fire department. And there was a thorough discussion of that item, and there were some proposals to create a subsequent revision to the ordinance or supplement to it that could treat the 3 different types of permitting for dumpsters in the city, temporary dumpsters, permanent dumpsters, and dumpsters in the right-of-way as different from each other, including proposals to put restrictions on how long they may be placed pursuant to those permits. However, those are different proposals than the one that's before us tonight, which simply switches the fee structure burden from being on the resident to being on the dumpster owner. And for that reason, I was comfortable bringing that out tonight with a positive recommendation. And then the last item that we discussed was the speed hump ordinance, which was reviewed at our last meeting. It was referred to maintenance and development, chaired by Councilor Govan. I've conferred with her, and she is comfortable with the General Government Committee's recommendation that we proceed with the discussion of first step tonight. If there's a need for a future committee meeting on that item, she's volunteered to host that in her committee the next go around. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President.
First, I'm going to talk about a joint Public Safety Finance Committee meeting that was held on Monday, the 26th. It was regarding the Friendly's location in the parking lot. Thank you to all the counselors that were in attendance. Sorry, I haven't been writing down who's been in attendance, but thank all of those who joined. And we talked about either purchasing the property for 1.2 million, which came between their value and how we valued it. I think we valued it at $1.1 million. They valued it at $1.3 million. So we wanted to offer, we mean the city wants to offer 1.2 million to purchase that property with the building on it. The reason that is important is because they have a lease agreement with the Springfield Public Schools to house parking for over 40 employees in the parking space. And if the property is sold to another buyer, or even maybe leased, that we may lose those parking spaces, and it will make Sumner Ave even more congested down by the Long Hill side. In addition, counselors brought up the fact that they would like to know what is being done with the building, or at least make sure we have public input from the community before we utilize the building, which is the old Friendlies. And Councilor Davila and Councilor Letterman, I think we're reaching out to the Civic Association to have a meeting. I don't know if that took place yet, but they want to go ahead and move forward with purchasing the land in the building because of the parking issue mainly. And they did commit to making sure they get public input on the building. They meaning TJ and others, TJ Plant, who's a CAFO, and others on the building. So that's where we're at with that. I support the purchase of the parking lot and the building because I don't want to lose those parking spaces. I also asked that during snowstorms that the parking lot be used for parking overflow to get them off of the street. So that is something they also are considering, but councilors had concern on what was going to happen to the building. So they did commit to getting public input. Then the second report is I have a finance committee meeting on ARPA funds, which was Wednesday, last Wednesday. And thank counselors again who were in attendance. So what we found is that there are 15,386 applications that have been submitted. Out of those, 787 have been awarded. Out of the 15,000, 14,587 are senior household applications. They haven't broken them down from the combined senior household applications and the ones that were separated, but they said they will get that information to us next time. But right now, that's all they're processing. So they're not processing any of the old applications, the small business, the EcoDev, the new business, the nonprofits. They're not processing any of those applications right now. They're only focusing on senior household, and that raised a concern to counselors because it's some of those small businesses that need the resources the most to even just stay open. So that was a concern raised by Councilor Hurst, and they are trying to get staff. They got 2 part-time admin positions up. They also are trying to partner with, I think AIC or Springfield College or both, on getting internship help to help with the load. At this point, they're not taking any phone calls or any emails. So we're probably going to continue to get those on the updated status. And then finally, I just wanted to say that they can only process 200 to 300 checks a week. So if you're looking at household applications of 14,000 in-house, it's going to be some time before some people see those checks being distributed. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to add to what Councilor Whitfield was saying regarding the meeting on September 26th. We indeed met to talk about the land taking order of the old Friendlies, 65 Sumner Avenue. There's a real need, Mr. President, to ensure that, at least from a public safety standpoint, sir, that our kids in the neighborhood are picked up and dropped off safely. And so taking over the old Friendlies, it makes a lot of sense on that aspect. We still got I am adamant, sir. However, like Councilor Whitfield said, that the public should have input. So with that being said, I reached out. The Forest Park Civic Association is going to be having a meeting on October 11th. I believe it's at 6:30, and that's going to be at the Shed Building, which is inside the Forest Park, and it believes the administration building. Also, there is a second public safety subcommittee meeting October 17th at, I believe it's at 5:30 to get it out of committee and bring it to the floor for consideration of the body. So those two meetings, October 11th, 6:30 in Forest Park at the Shed Building, and October 17th, we're going to have a public safety meeting to get them out of our committee. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. President. On September 21st, the Planning and Economic Development Committee met with Amanda Pham, the Executive Director of the Springfield Redevelopment Authority. Quorum was established by the presence of Councilor Perez. This was an update to the proposed changes to the Court Square Urban Renewal Plan. Previously, at a previous meeting, Amanda Pham and Mr. Sheehan presented to the council, and they listened to the concerns of many of our colleagues regarding the taking or the listing of properties that were privately owned that might in the future be controlled by the Springfield Redevelopment Authority. They will be coming back shortly with a new updated listing of properties. They have met with many of the owners who complained or about their names being listed, and they addressed a couple of different concerns. Any property that is occupied by any business that is operational will be taken from the list, and any properties that were deemed historic in some way or shape will be listed as for redevelopment as opposed for a potential demolition. They will be coming back shortly at the appropriate time to give you an update on that particular plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Edwards. Are there any further reports of committee? Seeing no further reports of committee, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to accept the reports.
On accepting the reports, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The reports are accepted. Madam Clerk, please call item 1.
First item on the agenda is the FY22 June Revenue versus Expenditure Report.
Mr. Burns.
Thank you, Mr. President. Patrick Burns, 90 Clement Street, Springfield. Tonight, I am presenting the FY22 final year-end results for fiscal year 2022. As you will see, we ended the year with a surplus of $69 million. The driving force behind this was the personal property tax payments from 2013 through 2021 from Eversource, which totaled $42 million. As I spoke today at the Finance Committee, I'm going to respectively request that this report be sent to committee, and I can work with the Finance Department and come back with a full buildup of what's driving this $69 million by category.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Is there any discussion on the report? Councilor Allen?
I don't know if you can see my hand.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Whitfield. Councilor Whitfield followed by Councilor Allen.
Thank you. I would just like to send the report to committee, to the Finance Committee.
Councilor Whitfield has made a motion to refer the report to the Finance Committee. Is there a second?
Second by Maria Perez.
Motion has been seconded by Councilor Perez. Is there any discussion on the motion? Councilor Davila, followed by Councilor Allen.
Thank you. Good evening, Pat. Thank you for being here. I didn't quite miss the reason for the request to send to committee.
He said that he
Oh,
wanted
it was addressed to
Councilor
Mr.
Whitfield.
Burns.
I'm sorry. Let me just clarify. Councilor Davila, to whom was your question directed?
To Mr. Burns.
To Mr. Burns. Mr. Burns?
Counselor, we'd like to provide a buildup by category of what's making up the $69 million to give the council more detail. And that way we can answer any questions on the specific buildup of what's making up the $69 million outside of the Eversource delinquent tax payment.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Allen on the motion?
Thanks, Mr. President. Pat, are you referring to 69 million?
69 million is how we ended the year, and of that, $42 million is the payment from Eversource, which includes 24 million in principal and 16 million in change in interest.
Yeah, thanks. And where does that 69 million show on the report?
It's the positive variance at the bottom.
Okay.
You'll see that we ended the year with a favorable revenue surplus of 54.9 million and a favorable expenditure surplus of 14 million, which comes to the $69 million.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Is there any further discussion on the motion to send this item to the Finance Committee? Seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, without objection, please call the roll on the motion.
On sending item 1 to committee, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The motion carries. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Next item is the August Revenue versus Expenditure Report.
Mr. Burns?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm also presenting the FY23 August Revenue Expenditure Report, which represents the first 2 months of the fiscal year. What I wanted to point out here is we have a partial appropriation for the net school spending carryover of $2 million. The city has worked with the school department and we finalized that number, and it's going to be a total of $20.3 million for this fiscal year. For comparison purposes, it was $15.8 million last fiscal year.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Is there any discussion on the report? Seeing no questions, Madam Clerk, without objection, please call the roll to accept the report.
On accepting the report, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh. Away, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient and the report is accepted. Thank you, Mr. Burns. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Mr. President, I'd like to be recorded as yes.
Madam Clerk, please let the record reflect. And please call the next item.
Thank you.
The next item is a collective bargaining agreement ratification for the NAGE Local 1-021.
Attorney Mahoney.
Good evening, councilors. I would like to take a minute just to introduce our new Labor Relations Associate who's with me tonight, Tatenda Chittamarari. He's over standing right now. He'll be working with me on all of our collective bargaining issues. We're pleased to report that NAGE has informed us that they have ratified two collective bargaining agreements with the city. There are approximately 12 employees in the bargaining unit. These include building inspectors, wiring inspectors, plumbing inspectors, and senior inspectors. Negotiations began on June 15th, 2021. There were approximately 6 bargaining sessions. Those were followed by 4 mediation sessions. The first contract covers the period of 7/1/21 to June 30th of '22. And the second contract covers the period of 7/1/22 to 6/30/25. The COLAs for these contracts are 2% each year, 2, and there's a one-time $500 signing bonus for 4 of the employees who will not be able to take advantage of what we've done is we've accelerated the pay plan in the back of the contract in order to attract and retain employees. We've added the Juneteenth holiday to this bargaining agreement, and we've added the military leave provision that was passed as a city ordinance just a while back. That's now part of the contract.
Thank you, Attorney Mahoney. Are there any questions, comments, or debate? Seeing none, Councilor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. And in the Finance Committee meeting, Bill Mahoney did mention, and he just said it again now, that 2 of the issues that the City Council has really worked hard on, residency and military leave, are included in these contracts. And I think that's important to note that that work is being reflected. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Any further questions, comments, or debate? Councilor Allen.
Thanks, Mr. President. Bill, are there people here who are part of this union that have come here to City Hall tonight?
I don't believe so.
No? Okay. Thank you. I'm all set. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Is there any further debate? Seeing no further debate, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to ratify the collective bargaining agreement.
On approving the agreement, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The agreement is approved. Madam Clerk, please call item 4.
The next item is a collective bargaining agreement ratification for the Springfield Public Health Nurses.
Attorney Mahoney.
Again, good evening. This is a much smaller unit. This is our smallest of all units. It has 2 employees in the bargaining unit. They are both public health nurses. We had approximately 6 bargaining sessions, and our negotiations began on December 17th, 2021. Again, it's 2 contracts. The first contract covers the period of July 1, 2020 to June 30th, 2021. And the second contract covers the period of July 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2024. The wage increases follow that pattern of 2-2-2-2. We did increase the weekly allowance for a nurse that has a bachelor's degree in nursing from $30 a week to $60 a week. We included the Juneteenth holiday in this contract. We did propose military leave, but the parties did not agree on it. And we changed the vacation accrual system. We had kind of an outdated system in this contract, and we've updated so it's more modern, and they will accrue on a monthly basis their vacation leave.
Thank you, Attorney Mahoney. Are there any questions, comments, or debate on this agreement? Say again. Seeing no questions, comments, or debate at this time, Madam Clerk, without objection, please call the roll to approve the agreement.
On approving the agreement, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The agreement is approved. Madam Clerk, please call item 5.
Next item is a FY23 Municipal Road Safety Grant, no match required, in the amount of $64,950.
Is there anybody here to speak to this item?
address the council.
Please
Mel
state your name and
Witowski,
address for the record.
Springfield Police Department, Traffic Bureau Lieutenant. This is part of the ongoing municipal road safety grant. As you said, it's for the $64,950. It is not a match grant. This is just an outward grant. The competitive grant funding is part of a $5 million program for FY23 that allows for the adaptation and enhancement of traditional traffic safety programs. This will be accomplished by addressing and expanding the involving roles of local law enforcement departments and deploying additional enforcement mechanism to keep roads safe. The grant program will support high visibility enforcement, and it's a proven countermeasure for road safety. We will also conduct 5 different types of traffic enforcement mobilizations for winter impaired driving in December of '22, distracted driving in April of '23, which is basically the phone and hand use devices, click it or ticket, the seatbelt, speed enforcement in June, and then summer impaired driving August to September. And these types of mobilizations help make Springfield a safer place to live, work, and visit. The contract period is from 11/1 of '22 to 9/15 of '23. There are performance measures that we hope to reach that are listed. Last year, we had a very high fatality rate in the city of over 21 fatalities, 2 more on the highway with state police for 23, which is unacceptable. The Springfield Police Department last year gave out 12,488 citations, and the Traffic Bureau itself gave out 4,419, basically 36% of those. This, and most of you counselors have been in touch with me yourself for your constituents with the complaints of speeding, and these additional funds allow us to address those issues on these streets when our manpower is low. We've worked with the East Springfield Citizens Council with this grant where they have check your speed events. We do high visibility enforcement. I'm sure you've seen it where we actually put out a public press that we're going to be on a certain corridor at a certain time. We put out the signs, the speed signs, to let them know that there's traffic enforcement up ahead. And yet we still are able to perform our job and get people that don't want to abide by the rules and regulations of the road. So this goes a long way in assisting the city with public safety if we can go forward with this.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions, comments, or debates? Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Lieutenant. Thank you for being here. I'm happy. I'm going to be voting, of course, in favor of this. It makes sense, but I do have a question. This $64,000 and some change, is that going to be divvied up, and logistically speaking, is that going to be just for the traffic bureau, or is that going to be divvied up among the regular guys? In other words, is this money only going towards traffic bureau for enforcement, or is it just going to be used regular patrol cars for extra details?
I'm sorry, can you speak up or?
Sure. What's the matter? Is that better? Can you hear me?
Lieutenant.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My apologies, I have to give you my back. I got to talk to the microphone. Can you hear me, Lieutenant?
As far as how we apply the enforcement?
Yeah. Right. I'm just trying to think, is this money just going to go to the traffic bureau, or is this going to go to the patrol cars? I'm just trying to think, how is this money going to go into, I get it's for enforcement, but
It's
logistically,
been,
how is it going to be?
specifically for the traffic bureau.
Okay,
But
perfect.
we use it for the C3 units throughout the city. We also allow squad, and we apply it to
Okay.
overtime to, you could use the term, a target, a certain area. If we have a problem area,
Yeah.
we'll put it out there at different hours for different shifts.
Right.
And all officers have a chance to take part in the enforcement, so they know the importance of an area that might be needing some enforcement.
Right. And thank you, Lieutenant. That was a great answer. And of course, like I said, I'm glad to support this. As we all know, speeding does cost life. And so thank you for your work, sir. And I'm glad that apparently I'm being heard better now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Walsh, followed by Councilor Hurst.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I want to say how timely this issue and this grant is. Just today at the Traffic Commission meeting where the Lieutenant was present, an issue came up from our colleague, Councilor Govan, about road safety in Indian Orchard. So I think this is going to be, this will be very helpful throughout the city. And I'd just like to say what a great presentation you gave. We now know exactly what's going to happen with the grant, which is good to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Hurst.
Thank you, Mr. President. Lieutenant, just a quick question. How do you gauge the success of this particular program/grant?
I'm sorry, I'm just not being able to hear everybody very good today.
My question was, how do you gauge the success of this particular grant? How do you know, how do you measure whether it's effective or not?
Well, so far, I mean, the Executive Office of Public Safety is actually the ones that gauge basically on the success of the program, and it's modified each year to apply it to different, let's say, tolerances that are tested to see if it makes a change. The greatest goal and identifier is having less crashes and fatalities. This year, we're well below the 21, which is good, and it's a sign that what we've been doing has been working. If that's any gauge, less fatalities is definitely a plus. But if you have a moment, the statewide goals for performance measures for this year's program, that they're saying that they will drop by 1.69% by December 2023. However, this year alone, they've already dropped in half up to this point, and God willing, we can continue keeping it low. And obviously, traveling and stuff has gone up since the pandemic is subsided. So anything that reduces crashes, and a lot of times when you're out there, as far as performance measures and stuff like that, and you issue citations, it'll be based on what kind of citations are given. Hand use of cell phones, if that goes down, those are all measures. So we can report back to you, and I can get you ones from last year to this year and what those performance measures were and are, so that you can have a gauge and we can go forward. But we have those numbers.
Got it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Keep up the great work, and sounds like it's effective thus far. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hurst. Is there any further question, comment, or debate on the grant acceptance? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to accept the grant.
On accepting the grant, Councilor Perez?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click-Bruce?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Kern?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman?
Yes, the votes are sufficient and the grant is accepted. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is for bills of prior year from Thomas J. O'Connor in the amount of $593.45.
Deputy Caffa.
Good evening, councilors. Lindsay Hackett, Deputy CAFO, 80 Tamarack Drive in Springfield. This order is to request funding from the FY23 budget for 6 invoices for services rendered in FY22 for TJO. The vendor is Wedgwood Pharmacy.
Thank you very much. Is there any question, comment, or debate on the order? Seeing no question, comment, or debate at this time, Madam Clerk, please call the roll without objection on the authorization for payment of the bill of prior year.
On item number 6, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click-Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yeah.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The order is authorized. This order will require suspension of Rule 19 if it's to be taken up in one vote. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Counselor Fenton and seconded by Counselor Edwards to suspend Rule 19. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion on the Rule 19 suspension without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the motion to suspend Rule 19.
On suspending Rule 19, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click-Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient and the order is approved in one step. Madam Clerk, please call item 7.
Item 7 is Department of Elder Affairs donation in the amount of $225.
Deputy Kappa.
Thank you, councilors. This is a donation to our Elder Affairs Department totaling $225. It's 9 $25 gift cards donated by Maureen Heasley, and these gift cards are to be distributed to seniors in need at the Hungry Hill Senior Center.
Thank you very much. Is there any question, comment, or debate on accepting the donation? Seeing no debate, Madam Clerk, without objection, please call the roll to accept the donation.
On accepting the donation, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click-Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The donation is approved, and please ensure that Mrs. Hazley knows she has the gratitude of the Springfield City Council. Madam Clerk, please call item 8.
Item 8 is for a special permit for a temporary truck or truck body storage lot at the properties known as 146 Verge Street.
Is there anybody present to speak to this item? Before we begin, members, I did approve this special permit to be added to our regular agenda. It was left off of the last hearings meeting, and because we did have a shorter agenda and it had previously been continued, I did allow for it to appear today. And so this is a special permit hearing. Proponents of the special permit will be given 20 minutes to present their case. Opponents will be given a similar 20 minutes. Rebuttal will be limited to 5 minutes. At this time, we would ask for the proponents to step forward, recognizing that your time will begin now. And please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Lee with R. Levesque Associates, located at 40 School Street in Westfield. I am here tonight with the applicant, Ms. Maya Izatova, and Mr. Karim Radzabov. I'm here tonight to request for a special permit for the proposed temporary truck storage lot at 146 Verge Street. This property is currently zoned Industrial A. The current conditions of the property are heavily wooded with an existing building. The applicant proposes to reuse the existing building and construct a new parking lot for tractor trailers and for personnel vehicles. Included with the proposed site improvements include a new perimeter fence to enhance security with a access gate, a controlled access gate, and surveillance around the property. Also included is a new dumpster area and a new drainage management system to improve water quality and treat the runoff on site. We have a positive recommendation from Mr. Dromey, who prepared a well-written and detailed analysis on the site review. We have also been in communication with the DPW engineering department and are working with them to resolve their comments. Now I'd be more happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present to speak in favor of the petition? Seeing none, we would ask is there anybody else present to speak in favor of the petition? Seeing none, please step to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Miguel Izatoa, and I'm here to present, as Rebecca mentioned, we applied for a special permit in 146 Verge Street, and our plan is to transform this wooded area to a truck storage lot that we can utilize for our business. It also has an office that we'll be utilizing after maintaining well. So, and I also have my constructor here if he has any comments to add. Engineer, do you want to add to? Okay. Thank you.
All right. Is there anybody else present to speak in favor of the special permit? Seeing none, we'd ask the proponents to just step aside. And is there anybody present virtually to speak in favor of the petition? Seeing none at this time, we would invite anybody present to speak in opposition to step forward. And seeing none, is there anybody present virtually to speak in opposition? Seeing none, while the hearing remains open, are there any questions from members of the council? Councilor Click-Bruce, followed by Councilor Govan.
Thank you, Council President. I just have one question. Were you guys able to meet with any of the neighborhood council in reference to the change?
No, they were not.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilor Click-Bruce. Councilor Govan.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, and thank you for that presentation. Verge Street is Ward 8, and there's no neighborhood council, I think, there necessarily right there, but usually when there's any zone changes or any activity that's going on there that might require a change or might require some resident input, they come to the Indian Orchard Citizens Council. So I would like to invite you all to maybe reach out to the Citizens Council and see if you might want to attend a meeting and possibly have a site visit there so that we can talk to the neighbors and see if there are any concerns from the neighbors. Visualizing that area, are you talking about the wooded lot at the end of Verge Street?
Yeah, there's 3 parcels that are adjacent to each other, and it is wooded. Yep, it's across. It's right adjacent to another truck storage lot. If that helps you visualize.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not very good with directions or anything like that, so I'd have to go by there and look at it. But again, I think I would encourage you to reach out to the Indian Orchard Citizens Council, who has been very receptive in hosting site visits for the neighbors and for the other businesses that might have questions or any concerns. Thank you,
Understood.
Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Are there any further questions for the petitioner while the hearing remains open? Councilor Allen?
Thanks, Mr. President. Thanks for your proposal or application to develop this site. I just want to ask, though, there are several concerns voiced in the write-up, from the significant tree to the condition of the property. Significant tree, it said the building is in very poor condition. Petitioner has also proposed to install a solid fence. Also concerned with the hours of operation and the residential abutters across the street. Have you met with Mr. Dromey? Have you come to terms with these different conditions? And are you prepared? How are you prepared to deal with them?
Yes, thank you very much for your comments. We did reach out to the tree warden, and he actually made a site visit and determined that one of the trees that we were going to demolish in order to accommodate the access drive would have needed a special permit. So we had shifted the access drive to purposely, miss the tree, let the tree stay in place. So we have been in discussion, with the tree warden. In regards to the building, the applicant is proposing to do renovations. They would like to have their office on site. They also would like to have a repair shop included with that building. So they are planning on making, significant renovations to this building to improve the current conditions. And then as far as hours of operation goes, the applicant is willing to abide by the hours that Mr. Dromey has recommended.
So all of these conditions or issues, you're okay with them?
Yes.
You'll be able to comply with those conditions?
Yes. Yep.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Is there any further question, comment, or debate for the petitioner while the hearing remains open? Councilor Davila?
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening. And thank you for investing in the city and realize this is a vacant lot. Just have a quick question. So how many trucks are you proposing to store there? How many parking spots, I guess?
So, sorry, I'm just going to open up to the site
Take your
plan.
time.
So initially, we had more parking spaces. However, we reduced the amount of impervious area. So now the tractor trailer parking spaces stand at 21 spaces.
21 spaces, or just truck parking spaces?
Just for the tractor trailers, correct? Yep.
Okay. Now, is it something that the truckers could sleep overnight, or just park and go and come back in the morning?
Mr. President, can I invite the applicant to come
That's
and
fine.
answer that
Yep.
question?
Yes, so,
Welcome.
so we do own a trucking business. So our trucks will be parked in a parking lot. So that's like a storage for the trucks where our drivers, almost all of them are from here, from Springfield and West Springfield. So when their trucks are stored at the truck, they will be at their homes.
So they will drop it off, go home, come back in the morning?
Yes.
Okay, I see. Now, I was looking here to the conditions that Councilor Allen was referring to, but I don't see anything about the actual, what you call it? Is the road going to be paved, or is it just going to be dirt or gravel?
Mr. Councilman, are you asking for the paved surface or what the surface is going to be
Correct. Is it
for the
gonna be
parking lot?
gravel or-
Yeah, so it is going to be, asphalt, bituminous
Oh, it's gonna be
concrete.
asphalt.
And then underneath where the tractor trailers are going to be parking, it's actually a concrete material, so it's more durable.
Right. And just to thank you for the answer. And my last question is to make sure, you did say something about the tree that you had to change the entryway
Yes.
to protect the tree?
So there is a 48-inch diameter tree that was in the way of the original proposed driveway.
Right.
However, after discussion with the tree warden, we have shifted that driveway over to the east in order to avoid
Right.
that tree.
Thank you. And lastly, if I just may say that I strongly encourage you guys to meet with the, like Councilor Govan said, with the Indian Orchard Civic Association, Neighborhood Council, to get their input. But other than that, I thank you for your interest in Springfield, and I thank you for investing in our great city. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Any further questions for the petitioner while the hearing remains open? Seeing no further questions for the petitioner, at this time I will now declare that the hearing is closed. Is there any debate amongst the council relative to approval of the special permit? Councilor Allen.
Thanks, Mr. President. Could we have Phil come out for this? So, Phil, there were several things that were concerns, condition of the building, the trees, et cetera. And also DPW needs to grant a plan here. So there's a lot of kind of still more steps here. And do you help, if we prove this tonight, do you help the petitioner deal with the next other things they need to get through, the Parks Department and all that? Or are they on their own and you just give them a guide?
Well, again, I mean, to me, I think the kind of the majority of the issues that I raised, the tree issue sounds to me like it's been resolved because they're not going to remove it anymore, so there is no need for the city forest to get involved. The Department of Public Works review is for any new pavement project, so that's really kind of in addition to the special permit. They have to go through a full DPW review. DPW reviews the drainage to make sure it meets the EPA standards. So that's kind of that's really what I say is, I look at what's above ground. DPW really looks what's below ground. They also look at, obviously traffic impacts. But to me, that's kind of they've been working directly with the Department of Public Works. I've had conversations with Andy Carr, the city engineer. He does not see any big issues with this. And obviously, they indicated that the building will be renovated. So, I mean, that was more of a note. I think the building's been vacant for a number of years, so it's just in poor condition. But it sounds like that's going to be taken care of. So, again, if the council approves this, they will have to follow all the conditions that are listed if you determine that those are appropriate. And again, the other concern that I had was, although Verge Street is an industrial area, there are residential abutters, so the fencing and the hours of operation, I think, will help to alleviate some of the issues that may come up. There, like was mentioned, there is a trucking storage company right next door to this one now operating. And with regards to pavement, they're required to pave it. The one next door is actually on dirt, but that's been there for a number of years. So those are pre-existing uses. But any new use can't park trucks or cars on dirt anymore. So it all has to fall under the guidelines.
So the things that need to get done are underway, or you're confident can be resolved?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Councilor Govan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would it be appropriate to send this to a committee and to give the petitioners an opportunity to meet with the neighbors in that neighborhood and with the Citizens Council?
Councilor Govan, we cannot send the item to committee because it is a special permit hearing. However, we can, as we have done with past special permit hearings, we can continue it to a future meeting to allow that to occur prior to it taking place. I have declared without objection the hearing to be closed, but that does not stop us from reopening the hearing by a vote of the council.
So can I make that motion then, please?
Councilor Govan has made a motion to continue the special permit to the next hearings meeting. Is there a second?
So, second.
Second.
Second has been made by Councilor Whitfield. Is there any discussion on the motion? Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just would like to remind that we should be consistent and continue this to allow for the Indian Orchard Neighborhood Council to hear this out. Although this seems to be a good project on its face, I can tell you by experience with some of these parks could potentially bring headaches down the future. Don't forget, we are promised the moon, and we get the end fussing on the lollipop most of the times. So with that being said, I think that the neighborhood should be heard. And I know in my own neighborhood, particularly the overnight hours. But I do, if I may, Mr. President, is Phil available? I do have a question on the conditions, if I could, Mr. President. Oh, never mind, I just saw it. Never mind, I just noticed it. No, I rescind that. I'm good. Yeah, those are my comments, Mr. President. We should be consistent. We should allow the Indian Orchard Citizens Council to, Neighborhood Council to hear this out. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Is there further discussion on the motion? Just as a parliamentary matter, if we want to continue with the hearing open, we will first have to vote to reopen the hearing. So I would respectfully ask that Councilor Govan withdraw her motion, and I would entertain a new motion to reopen the hearing.
So moved.
Motion was made by Councilor Davila to reopen the hearing, seconded by Councilor Govan. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion on the motion to reopen the hearing, Madam Clerk, without objection, please call the roll to reopen the special permit hearing.
On reopening the hearing, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The hearing is now open. Councilor Govan.
I make a motion that we continue this until they meet with the Indian Orchard Citizens Council.
Second.
Councilor Govan has made a motion to continue the item. It's been seconded by Councilor Whitfield. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion on the motion to continue, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to continue the item.
On continuing the item, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The special permit hearing is continued. Mr. Dromey will be in touch with next steps before the next hearings meeting.
Understood, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
The next item is a zone change referral vote to change the zoning of the property known as 435-455 Cottage Street.
This item is on for a first reading and parliamentary referral to the Planning Board. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
The next item is item number 10, which is Code Enforcement Inspection Ordinance.
Councilor Hurst.
Thank you. This item actually should not be on the agenda this evening. It's in committee, and Councilor Fenton has scheduled a meeting this Wednesday to discuss this item. So hopefully it'll be on next month's agenda or our next regular meeting's agenda.
Councilor Hurst, is that a motion?
However you want me to do it. I motion to send this to committee.
Motion's been made to
Second.
send the item to committee, seconded by Councilor Whitfield. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, without objection, please call the roll on referral of item 10 back to the General Government Committee.
On item 10, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
yes,
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The item will remain in committee. Madam Clerk, please call item 11.
The next item is an ordinance amending Chapter 16 of the City Code by inserting a new article for boards, commissions, and committee appointment.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. As this is my ordinance, I'm going to step down and ask the Vice President to take the podium.
President Letterman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members, thank you for the opportunity to have this appear again this evening. I really appreciate the support that the ordinance received during our first meeting last week, and we've definitely heard a lot of support for the ordinance since that time, both from members during the committee meeting that Councilor Fenton held, as well as from the general public. There was a great editorial by the Republican recently about the value of volunteer service in municipal government, and I think that what we're doing and preparing to do here tonight really speaks to that. So I think folks are familiar with the fundamentals of the ordinance, but I did get the answers to a couple of questions that were posed both during the committee meeting and during our last meeting in preparation for tonight. The first was a question of whether or not the submission to the city clerk of an application would be a public record. And so the answer we received from the law department, and Attorney Shea is here if folks have further questions on it, but my understanding is that the name of the individual would be a public record, and the application would be a public record if the individual was appointed. However, as with other documents, the personal information of the individual would be redacted in the event that it was requested by a member of the public. And I just want to make sure, Attorney Shea, that I stated that correctly in your view relative to the public records question, that the name of the individual who applied would be a public record, and that their application would be a public record if they were appointed, but that their personal information would be redacted.
Attorney Shea.
That's fairly accurate description. In the process of applying, the list of names would be a public record, and on that list of individuals applying for a position, their address and phone numbers would be redacted. Upon the individual, if was appointed, that information would be like anyone else's information in the record. So it's only going to be redacted in the process they put their name in, but if they get the position like everyone else in the city government, that information would be available.
Thank you, Attorney Shea. And to that point, I think that the way that we should likely address that is that when the General Government Committee does their review of the application that is developed by the City Clerk's office, we should ensure that it is made clear that by submitting your name for consideration, you are entering the public domain, and therefore your application could become subject to a public records request, very similar to the disclaimer that some of us have on our communications with individuals that makes individuals aware anything they send send to us via email, for example, is a public record. So I think that that's most likely the way to be transparent about that. The second question we received both during the initial meeting where this passed first step and the committee meeting was relative to the administration's position on the ordinance. And at that time, I had not had any direct interactions with the administration or the mayor's representatives relative to their position. But at the request of the committee, I did reach out to the chief of staff, Tom Ash, this morning. We had a very positive conversation, and I won't purport to speak on behalf of the mayor or the chief of staff, but the indication that was given to me during our conversation was that they did not object to the ordinance as it was presented, and that they supported the general effort of wanting to make an application available and get individuals who are qualified to serve in these seats. And so that is the new information that I have on the ordinance. I'm hopeful that we will be able to pass final step this evening and see this put into action by the end of the year, so that we can, get a feel for the individuals who are out there that are interested in serving, give them that opportunity. And I'll just share in closing, as I mentioned, we'll be announcing the appointment of the working group on civic engagement tomorrow. That was a month-long public call for individuals to submit their interest in serving, and we received a fantastic response from the public, including individuals that I would argue many of us probably did not know lived in the city of Springfield. And so we know that there is a deep pool of talent and leadership in our community. Those people deserve the opportunity to be considered for these vacant seats, and I'm hopeful that we will give them that tonight with final passage. I'm happy to answer any questions that folks may have, and certainly proceed through the process. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Are there any questions or comments? Once again, I say, are there any? Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a clarifying question, just to, if I heard the attorney Ken Shea correctly, just a quick question.
Attorney Shea, please.
Yeah, just if I may. So just to make sure, so the person's name will be public, but of course not the personal data that will be redacted. Is the position they're applying to also a public information? I don't think I heard that in your comments. Correct. So we have a regular Joe citizen applying to a board. The name is public, but is the position they're applying for also public?
Yeah, that would be part of
That will be
record of what they're applying for. So that would be listed there. Position would be listed there, sure.
no. Will the position be public knowledge? The position they're applying for, would that be public knowledge? Okay, just to be clear, because I didn't hear from you, I learned not to make any assumptions. Okay, the other one, is there anything that they made aware, and I think Councilor Leno might have spoken to it. Once they, thank you, Attorney Shea. Once they, can everybody hear me okay? No?
I can't speak for everybody, but
okay.
I can't.
Can you hear me, Clerk? Maybe Focus Springfield can check, because I'm kind of chowdy here. So where was I? Is there anything that tells them, or to Councilor Letterman, that these good citizens, that the information, if chosen by the mayor or the appointed authority, that they're fully aware that the information will be public indeed? So in other words, that they're fully aware of what they're getting themselves into? A great service, but also they will become, they will be in the public domain. Thank you.
Yeah. Set?
Yeah, good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to confirm that I'm understanding the councilor's question, you're asking is, will there be a clear communication to anybody who is applying for appointment that their information would be a public record?
If chosen, if chosen, that,
right.
So they know what they're getting into and the great service they're providing.
Right. So that would be my proposal, is that during the process that the ordinance calls for the General Government Committee to review the application that is proposed by the city clerk's office, that we ensure that it includes that disclaimer. to make sure that folks are aware that, they are entering a public process and therefore, there is a chance that their information could be requested as part of a public records request and would, in that case, be released, certainly.
Right. Thank you, Councilor Letterman. Thank you, Mr. President. Those are my questions. I do want to say that this is, it makes sense. It increases the pool of people in a great city that we can serve because, after all, this is the government. And so, thank you, Mr. President. I will be glad to support this.
Any other questions or comments? Once again, I say, are there any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, if there's no further debate, then at this time I would make a motion that we invoke Rule 22C to allow us to pass final passage with this remaining vote.
Second.
Motion has been made and second. Made by Councilor Letterman, seconded by Councilor Davila. Madam Clerk, so would you call the roll on the motion?
On the motion to pass, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click-Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Kern.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes. The vote on the motion was sufficient. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll on passage of rule, on the passage of the motion, the item.
On passing the item, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click-Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Kern.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes, the motion is sufficient. The motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Please call item 12.
Item 12 is an ordinance amending Chapter 178 of the Code of the City of Springfield by inserting a new section regarding combustible waste and refuse.
Commissioner Calvi.
Good evening, councilors. Bernard J. Calvi, Springfield Fire Commissioner. This is an ordinance that we discussed last week. This involves moving the payment for a dumpster permit in excess of 4 cubic yards from the residence owner to the hauler.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any questions, comments, or debate from the council? Councilor Fenton?
Just that I think we're ready to take first step.
Okay. Is there any further question, comment, or debate from the council? Councilor Hurst.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple concerns with this particular amendment. I guess number one, I haven't heard anything from the dumpster haulers, and I know this is going to be a sticker shock when they see that they are now responsible for this $50 fee, and it also includes residents. And I know that the amount of business that they do in the city of Springfield is pretty significant. And so it just seems to me that we ought to have a conversation with the dumpster haulers and, just to get their input in terms of, whether this makes sense from their standpoint and, whether this is the best way to go about it. My other fear is that if we do this, the dumpster haulers are just going to in turn place this additional permitting fee onto the consumer. And so that means that the individuals that are paying for dumpsters are going to be paying more. And the question is, will they choose to pay that additional fee, or will they find other ways in which to dump their trash, which, certainly could be an eyesore for the city of Springfield. And then the last question, and the individual that I haven't heard from, is Steve Desolitz. And so if the permitting process is going to go through the building department, I have serious concerns about that. Right now, you're talking about 3 to 4 weeks before individuals can actually start work if they apply for a permit in the building department, on top of the fact that they're extremely behind from a variety of different standpoints, including certificate of inspections, which there are a number of properties that haven't been inspected. And so we're only going to add an additional ask of the building department when it appears as though they're already overwhelmed. And so if we're going to do that, at the very least, I'd like to hear from Steve Desolitz to see whether he's actually capable of processing these permits in a timely fashion. Normally what happens right now is if you call for a dumpster, that dumpster, will be at your house in the next 24 hours. Now you're going to have to call these hauler companies and, you're going to ask for a dumpster. And the reality is that dumpster may not be available to you for another month or so, depending on how fast the permits are processed. So I just would like more information. I'm not against this ordinance from a safety standpoint, but I do know if, we haven't looked at the actual process behind how this is going to work, then the liability shifts to the city. And the last thing that I want is for the city to be responsible for something that they're not responsible for now. So I would like to make a motion to send it to committee and to have further discussion on this issue.
Councilor Hurst has made a motion to send the item to committee. That motion has been seconded by Councilor Whitfield. Is there any discussion on the motion? Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do think if it's the will of the body to send this to committee, I think it will make sense to send it to my Public Safety Committee to take a look at this. I would not be opposed to that if that is the will of this body. But with that being said, Commissioner Calvi, good afternoon, sir. Good evening, and my apologies for giving you my back, sir. I just want to make sure, so it talks here about a permit. Is that, so the person has to get a permit? And is that correct? So I want to rent a dumpster. Do I go to you and say I need a permit for a dumpster?
Yes, sir, if it's larger than 4 cubic yards.
It says here 6, I believe.
Well,
6.
That's the next size up. So if you're 4 cubic yards or below, you don't need a dumpster permit. The next size dumpster is a 6 cubic yard dumpster, which is the permitted size.
Okay, so I go to you, do I bring my $50 with me and you give me the permit on the spot, or does it take weeks?
No, you'd get the permit right on the spot, and then we'd come out and inspect the dumpster once it was placed. And once we go out, we look for 4 different things. Are the dumpster covers working and in good place or in good order? Is the contract hauler posted name on the dumpster? Is the dumpster 10 feet away from a building or overhang? And is the dumpster free and clear of trash around it? So those are the 4 things we inspect for once we issue the permit and the dumpster is placed. So,
and I think those things that you spoke of talk about reducing the potential for a fire hazard. Is that correct?
yes, if the dumpster is too close to a building and was to catch on fire, we try to make sure there's an air break between the dumpster and the building.
Okay. And so, thank you, Commissioner. So, Mr. President, I personally have no particular concern with this ordinance. However, it is my suggestion, if it's the will of the body, I would be more than welcome to have this in my Public Safety Committee to air it out and make any necessary changes that might be necessary. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Allen, followed by Councilor Hurst. And this is on the motion, followed by Councilor Fenton. Councilor Allen, on the motion.
Thanks, Mr. President. It seems reasonable that Councilor Hurst has made that motion to committee. I'm just wondering if we could allow the commissioner to respond to Councilor Hurst's concerns because he hasn't had a chance to speak once those concerns were listed as far as I know.
Commissioner?
Sure. First thing, this is a fire department permit. It's not a building department permit. The fire department issues a permit for the dumpster. Secondly, there's this fee is already on the books. It's supposed to be being paid by the citizens right now if they have a dumpster on their property that is more than 4 cubic yards, so a 6 cubic yard dumpster. So this isn't a new fee or a new regulation. These are already on the books in the city of Springfield, that if you have a 6 cubic yard dumpster on your property, you're supposed to get a permit from the fire department and have an inspection. So these aren't new fees. It's not a new process. We're just looking to shift the burden of the permit acquisition from the citizens to the hauler, so we can capture all the dumpsters that are out there in the 6 cubic yard range and above.
Thank you, Commissioner. Councilor Allen, does that address your question?
Just a follow-up question.
Councilor Allen?
A follow-up question. Are the dumpster haulers all aware of this policy change or procedural change?
We will make them aware of it if it's passed.
You'll make them aware of it.
If this ordinance is adopted, they will all be made aware of it.
I see. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Councilor Hurst, followed by Councilor Fenton on your motion.
So I didn't quite realize, Commissioner, I thought in the subcommittee meeting that these particular dumpsters were being permitted by the building department. I know when I had to have a dumpster on the side of the road, I had to get that permitted through through the building department. But you're saying that these particular dumpsters are going to be permitted through your department. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir. If they're on private property, they're permitted through the fire department. If they're in the public way, they're permitted by the DPW.
Got it. So I feel much more comfortable with it going through you all, because it seems like it can be turned around much faster than your ordinary permits in the building department are turned around. And so if that's the case, then, I certainly, I still want to hear from the dumpster haulers, but I'm much more apt to support this ordinance when it comes back before us. I think it sends the wrong message from a business standpoint to notify the dumpster haulers after we've actually, push this through. It seems to me like we ought to, at the very least, have the discussion beforehand just to get their take on it.
Thank you, Councilor Hurst. Again, there's a motion on the floor to refer this item to committee. This is on the motion. Councilor Fenton, followed by Councilor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. We did meet on this matter in the General Government Committee. I oppose the return to the matter for committee review because we've already conducted that review, and the very limited nature of this proposal in terms of shifting the burden for who has to pay this already existing fee for this already existing permit that's administered by the fire department is not one that I think warrants much more significant debate, as I indicated in my committee report from earlier in the meeting. There are issues that relate to the 3 different types of dumpsters that are allowed in the city. As I said in my committee report, the permanent dumpster, the temporary dumpster, and the dumpsters that are located in the right-of-way, which Councilor Hurst was just pointing out, are permitted through a separate agency, the building department. And so I don't believe that there is much more to discuss in terms of who should pay the already existing fee. I think there's been a compelling case made by the fire commissioner that it makes more sense that the agency that would appropriately be responsible for paying that are the dumpster haulers. They're the ones who have the resources and are in the best position, not our residents and taxpayers, to be aware of this requirement. And again, it is not an additional fee or an additional permit that's required. It's just making sure that these permits are actually obtained and that our residents are being advised of the requirement that they obtain them in the interest of public safety. So for those reasons, I oppose the motion to committee. I think there should be a more broad discussion about how we treat each of these different 3 types of dumpsters and whether or not there should be some restrictions on how long they can be placed in particular areas. But again, that's not what Commissioner Calvi's asking us to do here tonight. I think his proposal is much more simplistic, and for that reason, I'm prepared to support it. With that said, if the motion to committee does pass, I would hope that it goes back to the committee for which it was originally sent, and we've already conducted meetings on this subject, and not the Public Safety Committee. That would be the General Government Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fenton. Councillor Walsh, followed by Councillor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I support the motion to committee. I think it's a terrible idea to create a new fee for business owners and not tell them and send them a letter in the mail saying, hey, the city council just passed a new fee for you, but we're not going to tell you about it. I think that's horrible. We always include both sides of a question, before, especially with fees, before we vote on it. So I hope the motion to committee passes.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Councillor Whitfield, followed by Councillor Perez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was just going to reiterate what Councillor Walsh and Councillor Hurst said. Business owners need to be made aware, just like if we're doing some type of permitting process in a neighborhood, we go to the neighborhood councils, like that's just really, should be standard procedure. And I just wanted to say, I thought it should go back to General Government Committee as well. I don't understand why it would go to public safety. So those are my comments. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councillor Whitfield. Councillor Perez, followed by Councillor Hurst on the motion.
Muted.
Councillor Perez, you are recognized, but you are muted. Now you are unmuted.
Okay, so I reintegrate what my other colleagues are saying of sending it to committee, to the original committee. I have some questions myself, because if we don't hear from the commercial part of it, how is it going to affect the residents? And that will be one of my questions in the committee when then they have to pay the fee, and what role will we play as residents versus the commercial? So I am going to support that it goes back to the original committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Perez. Councillor Hurst on your motion.
I think everybody pretty much summarized all of the points I would make. So I don't have anything else to add.
Thank you, Councillor Hurst. All right, there is a motion on the floor. Councillor Davila on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to echo the words that Councillor Fenton made. I am prepared to vote on this today, supporting this ordinance. However, if it's the will of the body to send it to committee, that will be acceptable as well. Now I'm glad to see that Councillor Fenton will welcome it back to the general government, and I agree with him on that. It should go back to the originating committee, thinking that as in the last meeting, that it was highly recommended to be passed today. That's why I made the motion to public safety, as also could easily go to my committee. But no objection going to the original committee. And so those are my words. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davila. All right, there is a motion on the table. The motion is to refer this back to committee. Is there any further debate, discussion, or questions on the motion? Seeing no further debate, Madam Clerk, without objection, please call the roll on the motion to committee. A yes vote will refer the item back to committee. A no vote will return us to debate.
On referring the item to committee, Councillor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Click Bruce.
No.
No, Councillor Curran.
No.
No, Councillor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Brown.
No.
No, Councillor Davila.
No.
No, Councillor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Edwards.
No.
No, Councillor Allen.
No.
No, Councillor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Fenton.
No.
No, Councillor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councillor Letterman.
No, the votes are insufficient and will return to debate. The motion fails. Are there any further questions, comment, or debate from the council on the ordinance? Councillor Davila, followed by Councillor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to, if I understand correctly, we are not creating an existing fee here. This is already in the books, like the commissioner said. And this is something that will enhance public safety. This is something that will enhance the prevention of fire, and honestly, it will also give us a good account as to the stock of the dumpsters throughout the city. I'm ready to move this forward, and I think it just makes a lot of sense, and I think it's a very good, simple, effective ordinance. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Whitfield?
Yeah, I want to address my question to Councilor Fenton because I don't think I quite understand how we're going to add an additional $50 fee, but it doesn't increase the fee. Like, I don't understand that. How are we adding a fee, but it's not increasing the fee? Because we know that traditionally, when businesses are charged more money, that will trickle down to the consumer. That's how it traditionally works. That's just how inflation works and everything. So I'm not understanding how we're saying we're adding an additional $50, but it's not an additional fee. I just don't understand that. So can you explain what you explained before about the 3 different sizes and can you explain that again, please, Councilor?
Councilor Fenton?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. Councilor Whitfield, there is currently a requirement under Article 1, Section 100-7, subsection U of the municipal code that requires that dumpsters of this size receive a permit from the fire department, and there's a $50 fee associated with that permit. This is just stipulating that the party who's responsible for obtaining that permit and paying that fee is the dumpster hauler, not the resident. So currently what's happening is dumpster haulers who know better are allowing residents to order a dumpster for placement on their private residence and not advising them of the requirement that they get this permit from the fire department. So the interests of public safety are not met because the department is not aware of these dumpsters before they're placed, so they can ensure that they're placed in a safe location. And when complaints are made and the department raises this issue to residents, they complain that they were unaware of the requirement. So to address this, the department is just requesting that the ordinance stipulate that the party who's responsible for obtaining the permit and paying the $50 fee be the dumpster hauler and not the resident who's not in a position to know this information.
Thank you, Councilor Fan. I now understand the logic behind placing the ownership on the dumpster hauler. Yet we know that that $50 fee will still trickle down to the consumer. And it would be my hope that notification goes out to the dumpster haulers, letting them know that it will now be their responsibility to get this permit and pay this fee, because when there's an extra fee on the bill for the consumer, which there's some consumers out here that get dumpsters quite often, they'll know why they're paying $50 more. And so maybe the dumpster haulers can give them advance notification that this is coming down the pike, or maybe the city council, the fire department might want to send out some type of notification to dumpster haulers, letting them know that this is now going to be their responsibility, because that's how it works. It always trickles down to the consumer. Why would the dumpster hauler consume this fee that they didn't have in the past and take away from their revenue? Right, that just, logically speaking to me, that's how it works. So that's why I felt that we should have took a pause, made sure everyone is made aware, because when the problems come back to the city council, it's like they just put this on us without even letting us know what was going on. And then it's the city council's fault a lot of the time. So the more awareness that we can create, I think the better as a body. But it's not going back to committee. But for that reason, I can't vote yes on this particular item.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Is there any further debate? Councilor Curran, followed by Councilor Hurst.
Just a simple question, Commissioner. How many fires do originate in the dumpsters every year, in your experience?
There's several a year that we have several dumpster fires a year. We actually have dumpster fires every week. Oftentimes, they're just contained at a dumpster. Construction dumpsters too close to a building will inevitably spread to the building. And what will happen is if a person has a dumpster that's a permittable dumpster on their property and they don't have a permit, and there's a fire in the dumpster and it spreads to a building, more often than not, your insurance company will not pay because it's listed in the fire report that there was a non-permitted dumpster on the property that was the proximate cause of the fire. So if there's a non-permitted item that causes the fire that you're responsible for on your property, oftentimes the insurance company will not pay. If the fire then grows and extends to other properties, as an individual, you could be liable for the extended fire that grew from your dumpster that was unpermitted. We're just trying to capture all the unpermitted dumpsters that are in the city so we can make sure that there's an air break between them, we know where the dumpsters are, and we can keep better track of it. Also, with this new billing, it's more efficient for us to get bills and a list of dumpsters from the dumpster haulers as opposed to individual citizens.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Curran. I'll remind folks we are currently in debate on first step. Councilor Hurst, followed by Councilor Walsh.
It definitely is going to be an additional fee. I mean, there's no doubt about it. This is something that the majority of folks in the city of Springfield had no idea that they were supposed to pay. And now they're going to be paying it through the cost of the dumpster. That's just, I mean, that's a given. And so it will be an additional fee. I think on top of that, questions need to be raised. Why $50? Why can't it be progressive, right? Over the course of, the next year or year and a half? Why do we have to, put $50 as, the permitting fee, knowing that, that's going to be a significant jump to those individuals who need dumpsters, and who knows how much additional trash we're going to find through illegal dumping on our streets. Like, why? What is the reason behind the $50, Commissioner, and why does it have to be $50?
I'm not looking to adjust the fee, Counselor. That fee's been on the books for well over a decade.
But we haven't collected anything from it, right? So it seems to me like we ought to be able to amend that as well, especially considering that there's going to be such sticker shock right now. So
we do collect it from a number of residences.
It sounds like you got enough votes to support it. I think it's wrong. I definitely think it's wrong when folks don't have notice, especially the business owners, especially the residents. But it seems to me that there ought to be sort of a warning period or sort of a progressive increase as opposed to just slapping them with $50. To me, that's inexcusable, especially considering that everything in the world is going up. Like, come on, gas prices, utilities, taxes, everything. Why? We ought to do better as a council. That's all. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Hurst. Councilor Walsh, followed by Councilor Perez.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I also agree with my colleagues that this cost will be passed on to the consumers. And I really am very disappointed that the council didn't see the necessity of sending this to committee just as a courtesy to the business owners. I don't know why we don't want to hear both sides of the story and give the people who are going to be impacted by it an opportunity to at least be made aware of it. So I am not supporting this tonight. It's a terrible precedent.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Perez, followed by Councilor Govan.
I'm also not supporting. I had many questions from the business commercial if we passing this bill. I'm concerned with the dumping once this come out that the resident has to pay for this fee. I would have liked to hear from the commercial, from the people that we rent the dumpsters. How do they feel about it, and what conditions they're gonna put in place if this is a condition that we're gonna be approving tonight. So I had a lot of other questions when it comes from the environmental impact that this is gonna do to the city, and I was hoping that going to committee, we could have addressed all that and have a feel from the people that are going to take the responsibility of paying for this fee. So therefore, I cannot support on this passing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor Perez. Councilor Govan, followed by Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. So it sounds like the onus to collect the $50 fee was on the resident. However, they weren't aware of it because the dumpster provider didn't make them aware of it. So there seems to have been some miscommunication somewhere. And then now all of a sudden, because they weren't collecting it from the residents, they're going to put the onus on the dumpster provider. So I would also have liked to see this go to committee so that we can have some more discussion on it and have the input of the haulers so that we could, get from them what, why weren't the residents made aware, or how could that have happened? So I'm having a hard time being able to support something like this right now because I think that we do need more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Councilor Davila, followed by Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. The more I hear the debate, I keep thinking, and I think that my colleagues bring a very good, valid argument to the table, absolutely valid argument to the table. But also, let me just place devil advocate here, and I hate to say that I'm not, but the Commissioner Calvi did say that this is already on the book, so we are not creating a new fee. Although it is true that some people may not know about it, and there might be quote-unquote sticker shock, I wouldn't be surprised that there is some business entity out there already charging the resident this fee and not paying the fee. So I see this as a revenue for the city, something that's already in the book, something that is going to be followed. If I may, Mr. President, I want to tell you two quick stories related to this. One, about a year and a half ago, Mr. President, we changed the boiler in my house. And I thought that I was going to cry once I got the bill, but we needed to be done. Then they tell me that I needed to write a check to the city of Springfield. I think it was $80 or $85. And I said, what? Well, I guess there's a fee for that. And I wasn't aware myself. So I wrote the check, and lo and behold, the check was cashed by the city of Springfield. And I felt pretty good because the company that I used, the entity that I used, was a good, reputable company, and my boiler is still working quite well. Same thing happened to a dumpster that we ordered. We did the roof, also very pricey, very costly. We almost cried as well. And they tell me you have to get a permit. So we got the permit and we paid the fee. But I'm sure there's other entities out there, I hate to say this, let's also be realistic, who are not doing this. So this will be a revenue maker to the city, and also, like the commissioner said, for the public safety, it would also give them the ability to look and to monitor for any potential fire hazards, which could be so devastating. So again, I am ready to prepare to vote for this today. I think it's logic. I think it's brilliant, so simple, but yet brilliant. So I'm ready to vote for this. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Brown, followed by Councilor Whitfield, followed by Councilor Allen. Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. Basically, the way I'm looking at it and the way that it's breaking down, if the actual person is now not going to pay it and the company is going to pay it, even if the company raises its price, it's kind of like Peter paying Paul, because now the actual consumer might not pay the 50, and their actual price might go up 50, but it went up 50 because the actual company itself is now taking care of the necessary permits. So to me, I don't, it's like Peter paid Paul. So I don't see how the actual consumer would hurt in any way. because the actual company itself is now they're benefiting because now they have the proper licensing and they don't have to worry about it. And B, you're having an actual entity that knows the actual procedures and the day-to-day things of how it actually works and the processing process. So, taking it out of the actual consumer's hand, putting it in the actual person, the company's hand is a good idea. And if they do have to reflect it on pricing, I don't see how that is still an issue. They would have, being that the consumer would have to pay it anyways. It's a Peter pay Paul type deal. Thank you. So I am going to support this. I think it's a good idea to make sure it's done, everything is done correctly. And as far as even with the notification, I don't really feel that it based on what it is something that you can do quick and internal. I don't see it being that drastic. So it's something I definitely will support. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Councilor Whitfield, followed by Councilor Allen.
Thank you very much. I just want to say a couple of things just to respond to some of the things that Councilor Diva and Councilor Brown said. So respectfully, I respect everyone's opinion. However, when you're a small business owner that's just been affected by the pandemic, you haven't fully recovered, and you have to purchase dumpsters at an additional cost. Your business, you don't know if they're going to stay afloat or if they're going to close their doors. $50 on dumpsters, depending on how many you have to get a year, can be a lot. With, like Councilor Hurst said, with inflation's increasing, the city has still money that we haven't spent from COVID. We just got 69 million in free cash coming along. We just had a whopping amount of free cash that we just got that I don't know that is all the way spent. We have money in the MGM fund that hasn't been spent. So the city isn't suffering to the extent as some of these small businesses are. And the Coalition for an Equitable Economy just did a small business survey. And out of 3,243 Massachusetts small business owners, only 80% of them receive Pandemic Relief Fund, and the majority of them are not Black and Latino owned businesses. They were other businesses owned by other populations of the community. And so they haven't even, and this is based on a survey, a mass survey, they haven't even recovered from the pandemic. A lot of them are still in the process of closing their doors. So while the city may need revenue, I don't think they need it right now as much as some of the small businesses. If we look at the small business owners right now today that is pleading with the city of Springfield to please give them this ARPA assistance relief because their doors could be closing any day now. In fact, Will Chapman, that came in front of this council and begged for funding, had to close his doors because he couldn't afford to pay his rent because he never recovered from the COVID-19. And guess what? He had to get a dumpster to move his stuff out. He can't even afford to keep his doors open. And so while we're concerned about, revenue to the city, which is understandable, I don't think that is the more pressing need right now. We should be thinking about the small business owners. In addition, I just wanted to respond or comment on what Councilor Brown said. It's not a Peter pay Paul. The money will be trickled down to the consumers because what's going to happen is the bill is going to increase. The bill is going to increase for the consumer. So that's how it trickles down to the consumer. And if this was a responsibility of the dumpster haulers for so long, over a decade, and they haven't been doing it, maybe they were never aware of it. I mean, so now is an opportunity for the council to create this awareness instead of just passing it on at this time, like a whole decade and they weren't doing it, or they weren't telling the consumers that they needed to do it. Like that just logically doesn't make sense because I know that they want to operate their businesses in a legal form. And so given a common courtesy of just having a conversation with the small business owners to hear their struggle, their plight, what they're dealing with would be a great courtesy to them. But instead, we choose to say, okay, it's going to bring in more revenue, or it's not going to trickle down to the consumer while we're heading into a recession and we're in an inflation period. I just want to encourage the council to really think about this on the side of the consumer and of the small business owner, especially Springfield, the Springfield-based ones. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Councilor Allen, followed by Councilor Hurst.
Thanks, Mr. President. Commissioner Calvi, when you came a couple weeks ago here, I was confused and I wasn't supporting it. I didn't really understand it. I'm not sure. It appears to me that I was overthinking it, because it seems to me that we're not getting any more money. We're just getting the same amount of money coming from a different source. Is that true?
Yes, sir. We're not raising, like I said, this has all been on the books for over a decade. It's part of the State Fire Code 527, which is part of NFPA 1, National Fire Protection Association. It was adopted by the Commonwealth about 10 years ago. It was adopted by many cities and towns for this dumpster permit. Dumpster haulers in Western Mass are aware of these permits. Other communities have passed the burden on to the dumpster hauler as opposed to the citizen to ensure that these permits are being taken out. So there isn't a dumpster that's placed in the city of Springfield that a hauler doesn't know that there's supposed to be a permit for that residence. Another question that came up is it's not $50 per dumpster, it's $50 per property per year for the dumpster permit.
So it seems to me that the ultimate person who's renting the dumpster is not paying any more, the way I'm hearing it.
No, the only way they would pay more is if now the dumpster hauler is passing the cost on to them, because they know that the permit has to be taken out, because we'll be enforcing it through the dumpster haulers to ensure that they're taking permits for each dumpster.
Whereas it might not have been taken out before?
Yes, sir. And that's more of a financial liability, because if someone places a dumpster that ultimately causes a fire and it's an unpermitted dumpster, chances are their insurance company will not pay the loss.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Councilor Hurst, followed by Councilor Perez.
The only other thing that I'll add is that it's not just going to be $50. We also have to be conscientious of the fact that these dumpster haulers are not only going to add the $50 fee, but they're also going to add processing costs for having to do everything that is stated in this ordinance, and also having to actually go down and pull the permit. So whereas we see 50, it's probably going to end up being more like 75, right? Or whatever additional they're going to charge to do what it is that they have to do, that the actual resident would have ordinarily done. So it's not just going to be $50. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Hurst. Councilor Perez, followed by Councilor Walsh.
You know, and I have to echo what Councilor Hurst is saying. Now, I wanted to hear from the other part, because now as a resident, and I'm placing myself as a resident, I called for a dumpster that I want to dispense all the trash. I'm at the mercy if that small business already have met the quota that they have put in place to have that garbage in my house as a resident, and that could create a fire as well. So I would have liked to hear what procedure they're going to put in place and how this procedure is going to work for those commercial dumpsters or those residents that want to put their trash out and they're not able to. So you know what? It's not all, I hear the safety of the matter, and I have other questions though when it comes to the policies and procedure, because it raised a flag of having a dumpster that you're trying to disperse all the trash, but what are the liabilities besides being close to the building? I mean, there's so many questions that I know the residents wants to hear, and it's just not passing the $50 to the commercial. It's what procedures they're going to be having in place that we could, as resident, could disperse this trash and not have an eyesore in our city, because people are going to start dumping and going back to illegal dumping. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor Perez. Councilor Walsh, followed by Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I want to say, what's the rush? And why isn't there any courtesy being given to counselors that have questions on this issue? And, you know, it isn't the fee, it's the process. The idea that the city council will impose a fee on business owners without any notice, I think is disappointing and disgraceful. We always hear both sides. You know, it's ironic to me that when we're passing special permits, we hold things up if neighbors haven't been notified. But we don't want to give the same courtesy to business owners. Good points being made about the difficulties with business. I really can't understand why the move to committee is not being supported and that we are doing such a disservice to people that own businesses.
Councillor Walsh, does that conclude your remarks?
Yes, it does.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. Councillor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do, just going to be brief, sir. I have heard several times in this debate that this may increase dumping if we pass this. I have to respectfully disagree, sir. I don't think this is going to increase dumping. As a councilor who lives in Forest Park, and we have our fair share in the neighborhood of illegal dumping in the parking lot itself, I just, in good faith, I got to tell you, sir, that I do not see how, in the name of God, this is going to increase dumping throughout the city. Also, I have to say, as a commissioner say, there's no, I'm willing to bet my lunch money, sir. There's not a single entity out there of haulers that is not aware of this permit. And if they are not aware, shame on them. Again, I reemphasize, this is about revenue for the city, which we badly need. And again, let's not be naive. I bet you again my lunch money, and I love my lunch, Mr. President, that there's people out there, sir, that are passing this cost on to the people without really knowing. And so I just don't see it. I'm trying to see it whichever way, up, down, sideways, and I don't see it. So again, I stand by what I said. I think this needs to be passed. By the way, I think the Commissioner Calvi brought an excellent point. If you have an unlicensed, unpermitted dumpster in your house and it catches fire and your house has $20,000 damage to it, now you're stuck with that cost for not paying the $50 and the property permit. So either you pay large amounts of money, if God forbid there's fire, or you pay the $50 fee. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councillor Davila. Any further debate? Councillor Whitfield, followed by Councillor Whitfield.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm just going to say, before we start betting, we should think about being small business owners ourselves. Just because we assume that everyone knows all the processes, all the forms, all the permits, as a small business owner myself, I still don't know it all. I still miss things, you know, and if you become a new dumpster hauler, or, you know, you just been doing this for years and no one ever said, hey, make sure, you know, the owner knows that they have to get a permit for their home. You just don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. And so I would like to, I'm not opposed to this ordinance at all. I'm not opposed to the change or the amendment to the ordinance at all. What I'm opposed to is not hearing every side. And I don't understand for the life of me. I guess I agree with Councilor Walsh, why a city council wouldn't want to hear every side of a testimony before making a decision. When we have special permits, we hear from the opponents, from the proponents. We listen to every side. We take it all into consideration. But for this particular item, Commissioner Calvi, how many illegal, unpermitted dumpsters has caused a house fire, let's say in the last 2 years?
Standing here right in front of you tonight, Councilor, I couldn't say that. We have
Can you get that information? Even if this passes, I still want it. In the past 2 years, just 2 years, I don't even need you to go back for 5. 2 years, how many illegal dumpsters have caused fires? Okay, then you put, a lot of times people put the dumpsters in their yard and other places, and if they're not a certain amount of feet away, where the dumpsters gonna go? What's the process if their yard doesn't have that amount of space? Is it gonna go in the middle of the street? Where's the dumpster gonna go? How do we get around these things? These are the processes that I think Councilor Perez is talking about. Like, what's the process? We need to hear from these business owners on how this is going to work. And for the life of me, I just can't wrap my head around why we wouldn't want to hear all sides. And, I'm just going to make my final point, and that is it. But we always try to hear all sides. And so in this particular instance, I guess the majority of the council, guess they heard enough. But I'm going to also, I can't vote for it because I want to hear all sides of how this is going to affect the small businesses and the constituents. Because of course, the increase is going to trickle down to the consumer. I would do it in my business. If I'm charged a fee and I can't afford it and I need to keep my revenue stream at a certain amount to take care of my family as a small business owner, I'm definitely going to have to bring those prices down to the consumer. That's just how it works. But anyways, that's my final point. Councilor Letterman, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Councilor Fenton, followed by Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a few points on the process, and I hope we can act on this. The first is that I would just ask you, Mr. President, as parliamentarian, to consider before the next meeting how we call on councilors in this chamber. It's a little frustrating sitting here at City Hall and knowing that there's members of the council who can effectively raise their hand in the Zoom queue and do so in a way that's a little bit more effective in terms of getting in line to speak than when you're here. It's just sort of difficult to stand up in an empty chamber when no one's speaking. And I know many councilors have been heard on this particular issue maybe 5 or 6 times. I must say that I'm really surprised at the vigor of the debate on what I perceive to be a largely administrative question. I would point out that as one duly elected member of the council, I do have an interest, in fact, in hearing all sides of the debate. I would remind all of our colleagues that this is, in fact, the 3rd time that we've met on this question. We had it up and debated at our last regular meeting. I called a General Government Committee meeting on it timely. This is our 3rd reading. And in fact, if passed tonight, this will only be the first step, meaning that there are 2 more steps in the ordinance being ordained process, which would allow for another committee meeting to take place between now and the next meeting if members would so choose. And to be honest, if I could get a word in, I would articulate that. I'm happy to call a General Government Committee meeting before the next regular meeting, as is provided under our rules and procedures, before we take 2nd and 3rd step. I do believe that the 3rd time that we've heard on this and the extreme amount of time that we spent on it tonight is sufficient, and that we can dutifully take first act on what is an administrative action. So with that, Mr. President, I would respectfully make a motion that we call the question.
Motion has been made to call the question. Is there a second? Second has been made. At this time, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the motion to call the question. Passage of calling the question will end all debate, and we'll proceed to first step vote.
On the motion, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click-Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The motion carries. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on first step passage of the ordinance.
On first steps, Councilor Perez.
No.
No, Councilor Click-Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
No.
No, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
No.
No, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan?
No.
No, Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield?
No.
No, Counselor Letterman?
Yes, the votes are sufficient and the ordinance has passed first step. Madam Clerk, please call the next item. Thank you, Commissioner.
The next item is an ordinance amending Chapter 385, better known as the Speed Hump Ordinance.
Councilor Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. President. This matter was referred to committee at the last meeting. We held a general government committee meeting on it. There were some suggestions in the meeting. There was one proposed change by Director Signoli, being that the location of the proposed siting of the speed hump be specifically identified on the GIS system in order to ascertain the impacted segment for purposes of determining what signatures would be required. That change has been sent to the city clerk and will be incorporated into Minute Track. And we had a positive debate and discussion on the ordinance, and I'm hopeful we can take first step tonight.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. This item is on for first step. Are there any questions, comments, or is there any debate amongst the council on the ordinance? Say again. Seeing no questions, comments, or debate, Madam Clerk, without objection, please call the roll to approve first step on the ordinance.
On approving first steps, Counselor Perez?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman?
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The ordinance has passed first step. Madam Clerk, please call the final item.
The final item is for NStar Electric doing business as Eversource Energy.
Councilor Allen?
Thanks, Mr. President. This is on as a resolution tonight. I will open with a few comments about it, and Councilor Fenton will follow me with it. Basically, this is an attempt to stand up for the citizens of Springfield to not incur potential more electric fees as a result of the DPU hearing process that's going on now. So what does this mean? Essentially, you guys, everyone's aware that Eversource paid $42 million to us. $26 million was principal that they owed us, and $16 million was interest. As it turns out, they are attempting to claw back, if you will, get the right to charge Springfield residents for $8.3 million of the interest, and under a provision that's there in the DPU rate hearings, that if there's certain situations can occur, they can come back after reimbursement for their electric fees, for their interest payments in this case, and that's legal within the DPU rate hearing. So what all this is trying to say is, it's just a resolution, is to fight back and say we don't want them to be able to do that. I will read it to you in a second, and then Councilor Fenton will take it from there. I have spoken to Tom Ash about it. I have spoken to see if the mayor would support it. They sent me to Patrick Greenhall, the chairman of the Board of Assessors. Talked to him for a while today about it. So he had no problem with it. He wasn't passionate about it, but he had no problem with it. He said he was fine with it. So let me just read it to you as quickly as I can, and I appreciate your support on behalf of the citizens of Springfield. Whereas NStar Electric, doing business as Eversource Energy, receives $1.1 billion in customer revenues across the 194 communities it serves across the Commonwealth. And whereas Eversource Energy is a Fortune 500 company and in calendar year 2021 received $9.8 billion in revenues combined from all its operations and subsidiaries, of which electric revenues represents $3.2 billion. And whereas NSTAR Electric, doing business as Eversource Energy, has petitioned the Mass Department of Public Utilities for an increase of $89 million, adjusted to $95 million since the original filing in January, for its rates charged for transmission and distribution. And whereas NSTAR Electric, doing business as Eversource Energy, is the largest single taxpayer, real or personal, of any property in Springfield included in the city's property tax levy. And whereas NSTAR Electric, doing business as Eversource Energy, withheld payment of $26 million in personal property taxes for the period from July 1st, 2012 through June 30th, 2022, a 10-year period, which resulted in an interest bill of $16 million paid to the city in April 2022. And whereas NSTAR Electric, doing business as Eversource Energy, as part of its proposed rate increase, is seeking approval to collect an additional $8.3 million from Springfield ratepayers for the incremental personal taxes that were levied for the period of January 1st, 2012 through December 31st, 2015. And whereas this additional expense which NSTAR has proposed would result in current ratepayers being forced to pay for taxes the company chose not to pay to Springfield when they were due, and now, after irresponsibly accruing an interest expense of $16 million due to its wanton negligence, is seeking to mitigate that expense by charging current Springfield homeowners and business owners. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and the Springfield City Council and all relevant stakeholders urge the DPU to deny the $8.3 million charge. So, simply said, they're trying to get back some of the money that they would have never incurred that interest had they paid their bills on time. So this is simply a resolution that we would ask the mayor to sign it if we vote for it here, and I'll ask Councilor Fenton to take it from there because he's a little better explaining it than I am.
Councilor Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilor Allen said it very well, and as we have all come to see that when he sinks his teeth into an issue, there's no letting go. He's stuck this one and seen it through to conclusion. At 30,000 feet, just to reiterate some of the high-level points, they withheld $26 million in personal property taxes. They knew they owed it when they withheld it. They could have paid and continued to appeal the classification. They chose not to. They withheld this $26 million, and they did so for a decade. As a result, there was a $16 million interest bill generated pursuant to state law owed to the city of Springfield. That amount has been paid in full, equating to approximately $42 million. We talked about that earlier tonight with Mr. Burns' report and the very large surplus we're seeing this year as a result. And now Eversource is saying, well, we'd like to see $8.3 million of that $16 million in interest come back to us in the form of rate increases in the city of Springfield. That is materially unfair, Mr. President. The whole reason for the statutory scheme behind statutory interest is the concept of time value of money. Had the city of Springfield had the full benefit of that $26 million that it was deprived of during that 10 years, we would have had the opportunity to invest that in the market and generated significant returns. As a result, we have lost the time value of money, and the appropriate consideration for that, not just appropriate, the legal consideration for that is the $16 million that they have paid. They should not be able, as a for-profit enterprise, to recoup any portion of that money. They made a business decision, and they have suffered the ramifications of that choice. For this reason, we ask that the council support this resolution so that we can send it to the Department of Public Utilities in hopes that they will deny their request for this $8.3 million surcharge on the residents of the city of Springfield. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. Is there any debate on the resolution? Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, allow me to congratulate to Councilor Allen and Councilor Fenton for sounding the alarm on this issue. And I respectfully ask the city clerk to add me as a co-sponsor of this resolution. Mr. President, as I was hearing the reasons, all I have to say, in my opinion, sir, is that Eversource should be ashamed of themselves. They should be ashamed of themselves, sir, of not only are they try stiffing us for many, many years into the money that you, the residents of Springfield, rightly deserved. Money, as Councilor Fenton was saying, that has time value on it. And so we lost a lot of money. And then for them to have the nerves to go to the DPW and basically say, I want to stick it to you again, residents of Springfield. No, that's not happening. So shame on you, Eversource. Shame on you. I scream to the DPU not to allow this rate to increase. And I will be more than glad to support this resolution. And as I said, Mr. President, I ask the city clerk to respectfully add me as a co-sponsor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Govan.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Councilor Allen and Councilor Fenton for this resolution. I think after having heard so many complaints from a lot of our constituents, my neighbors, even myself, with the high energy bills that Eversource sends every month, it seems like the percentage of increases is ridiculous. So I was actually going to be speaking to Council President Letterman about who do we talk to about that issue, because a lot of our seniors are paying exorbitant electricity rates. They increase increment so much every month, it seems. And there's a problem with that. So I'm hoping that this resolution will pass and that the DPU will do its job in this instance, and that we will continue to keep Eversource at the front of our minds, because that is at the front of our constituents' minds on a daily basis. They can't afford to pay their electric bills. They can't afford to pay their gas bills, while Eversource is making billions of dollars in profits annually. On a monthly basis, they make billions of dollars. So it's time for us to hold them accountable and figure out a way where we can help our residents not be so strapped. So thank you so much. And I would love to be a co-sponsor, since I couldn't sponsor it initially. I should have thought of it first. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Councilor Perez?
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Thank you, Councilor, and all the councilors involved. This is very dearest to me. Every day in my office, I have clients coming to my office because of the higher bill. And one thing that I want to bring awareness to the council is that today I was asked a question, why I am being charged so much for transporting electricity to my house if I don't see a truck parked in front of my house transporting electricity. If you see the bill, sometimes the supposedly transporting of the electricity is higher of what the residents are consuming. I think this is gonna bring awareness. There's other matters that I'm gonna be in the future addressing through the Environment Committee. But thank you so much. I think I was looking at the research, I did some research, and according to the official Shan and the Baker administration, they are acknowledging that for this winter time, we're gonna be having a high increase when it comes to the utility. So therefore, thank you so much. And I'm in support of this resolution ordinance, and I want to be a sponsor as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Perez. Further debate, Councilor Whitfield.
Hey, I just wanted to say great job to Councilors Allen and Councilors Fenton on this one. Electric bills are through the roof. I'm not even going to talk about folks with lower income than me, but I just seen mine go from $74 a month to $174 a month to $336 a month to $4 something a month, and that's astronomical. So I hope Councilor Govan and Councilor Letterman figure something out. But please add me as a sponsor. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Is there any further? I'm sorry, Councilor Whitfield. Did that conclude your remarks?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And Madam Clerk, did you receive that request? Okay. Is there any further debate? Councilor Edwards.
Just simply say thank you, Councilor Fenton, Councilor Allen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Edwards. Is there any further debate on the resolution? Seeing no further debate, Madam Clerk, please add the chair as a co-sponsor as well. And without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on passage of the resolution.
On passing the resolution, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Cliff Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yeah.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient and the resolution passes unanimously. Madam Clerk, is there any further business properly brought before the council at this time?
No, there is not.
Seeing none, we will stand adjourned.